Hello everyone, this is Michelle Stelling with the National Association of Digital Scrapbookers, NAODS.com. Thanks for coming to the webinar, and we're going to cover a lot of things, and hopefully, I think it's going to last probably approximately 45 minutes, so hopefully you can stay with me throughout the whole class. And I go fairly quickly, so it's kind of fun. You don't have to have Photoshop Elements or anything like that open. Just go ahead and sit back and relax and kind of watch what I'm doing. You feel free to take notes, but then again, you can always rewatch this webinar. It's inside the membership area, and you can watch that for 3 days for free, and I'll show you how to get there as well. So welcome aboard. You can go into the chat area and you can maybe say where you're from. If you can see my screen okay, if you can hear me okay, let me know. We have Diane from Indiana just popped in. Yeah, it looks like Pam from California, Joan. It's going by quickly, so if I don't get to see your name on there, it just went by too quickly. Joan from Canada, Allison. Looks like we have Carol, Mary Ann from Australia, and we have Helen and Brandy. Looks like Brandy is from Colorado. Cool. And we have Jackie from Texas. And we have Linda from Kentucky. It's always so much fun to see where everybody's from. I get a kick out of it because we usually have people from overseas, China and Australia and South Africa and places like that. So it's really a lot of fun to see people's names fly by here. Linda, I can't remember if I said Linda from Kentucky, and we have Krista from Illinois, it looks like, and we have Brenda from Michigan, and we have Maria from North Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and get started with this, so you can feel free to go ahead and put where you're from and make sure you can see. I want to make sure that you can see my screen okay. It looks like everybody can, and that you can hear me all right. Let me kind of tell you a little bit quickly about myself. I started the National Association of Digital Scrapbookers back in 2007. And oh, by the way, if you do have questions like at the end, you can always email me. Right here it says info@naods.com, so you can go ahead and email me there, and I'll try to get back to you. I do have usually a lot of questions sometimes, so it might take me a couple days to get back to you, but I hope to get back to you. I thought about a few words that kind of describe me so you have an idea. I'm first and foremost a mom and a wife and an instructor. I've been instructing graphic designers and image designers for about 20 years now. And I consider myself a Photoshop Elements expert. I've been using it forever, and I've also been using Photoshop. I consider myself an image editor and a leader of 5,000 students. So I've had a lot of students over my years. I started teaching at various colleges online, and I decided to go ahead and start teaching digiscrapping and image editing on my own. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't consider myself a photographer, so that's why I put a photo taker. I love taking photos, and if you've been with me for a while, you know that. And I love to edit them. Have a lot of fun with that, and that's the reason why I'm doing this webinar. So the class today is going to be we're going to do a layout. It's going to be like a pumpkin layout, Halloween, fall layout. We're also going to do a panoramic, and I'm going to show you how to do the photo pop-outs. So if you've already been to this class, this is going to be the same class, but feel free to stay with me again if you want to watch it again. Just wanted to let you know what we're going to cover in the next 45 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, just close out of these guys. And what I like to normally do is I like to show you the final first and then go ahead and restart from scratch. That's how I like to learn. I like to see the final just so I have a visual. So let me just show you here. Again, we're using a program called Photoshop Elements, and you can get a free 30-day trial from adobe.com. They also have great deals at various places like Office Max. Online, you could probably do a search for it and get it online through Amazon for a very good price. So, and it's a lot cheaper than Photoshop. Usually Photoshop Elements cost right around maybe $60 to $70, which is a very good deal considering doing all the things it does. And then Photoshop is usually around $400, so that's why I chose to teach Photoshop Elements. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to the Layers panel, and I'm just going to turn some of them on and off just so you can visually see what is going on here. Those of you who are traditional scrapbookers, I don't know if I have any traditional scrapbookers in the house or not. Sure I do. But it's basically very, very similar, although we're only using them digitally. And you can really do a lot, I think a lot more. I started traditional back in 2004 when my son was born. And then a few years later, I thought, why not just do this on the computer? It's a lot less messy, and I can make more than one copy and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I started this business. And I kept getting people saying, you know, how do you do that? You make it look so easy. So that's why I started teaching people. And I've had so many members say that they're so glad that they found our site and found me, because it cuts out a lot of the frustration if you're trying to learn how to do this kind of stuff. This is not only for digiscrappers, this is for photographers, graphic designers, anybody who wants to kind of have fun with their digital photos. So don't be afraid that it's such a site that's so related to scrapbooking. It's really not, because in my membership area, which I'll show you a little bit later, there's things like how to design your own business cards, how to make your own cards, photo restoration, and things like that. So take a look at that whenever you can as well. All right, let's start from scratch. This is kind of like the way it was built. So I've got a few different papers that were created by a wonderful designer named Maria LaFrance, and we're going to start out with that. So let's go ahead and open up one of those papers. And I always like to open up the background page first. And this is a 12 by 12. So those of you who are asking about what size do I usually work with, it doesn't really matter what size you work with as long as you know where it's going to go later. So for instance, if you like to work with 8.5 by 11 or 5 by 7 or whatever, you figure out what size you want it to be. Now a lot of digiscrappers use 12 by 12. That's why I'm going to go ahead and do a layout that demonstrates it a 12 by 12. Okay, so here's my background layer, and again it's made by Maria LaFrance, and it's called Harvest Halloween. And you can find all kinds of free kits out there, and you can pay, you know, they're only a few bucks, and they're much worth it. Or you can make your own. So, you know, you have all kinds of options there. You don't have to use a DigiKit. You can make them on your own. But I wanted to save a little bit of time and go ahead and use a DigiKit. So I've got this. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up my next layer, which is going to go ahead and pull in this brown layer. And I'm just going to take a chunk of it. So I'm going to take what's called my rectangle marquee tool, and I'm just going to slice out a little chunk here. And I can always change the size later. I'm going to take my move tool, drag it and drop it into my page, and there it goes into the page. Now see, I can take these handles and shrink it down or pull it back up, do whatever I want to as far as the size goes. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it for now, and I'm going to kind of have it pretty much in the middle, maybe a little heavy at the top. And I can always use my little arrow keys too to go ahead and nudge it down and up. Okay, so notice here on the right hand side we got our layers panel, and I have two layers now. So I've got the background layer, and I can double click on the layer 1 and just call this brown paper, or whatever I want to call it. Next, I'm going to bring in a couple more things. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my photos. I'm just going to bring in my 3 photos that I already have inside of this area. So usually I bring in the largest photo first, but let's bring in the one on the left hand side. I'm going to bring in that layer. I'm just going to go ahead and get my rectangle marquee tool, and I'm just going to click around here. I'm only going to take what I have inside of my little marching ants. See the little marching ants there? And then I'm going to go ahead and move this on over. And then I'm going to put this right about here. Now I don't know if that's the right size, but I'm just going to keep it there. I'm going to close out of the original. The cool thing about it is when I brought up that original, I made a copy of it, so I don't have to worry about if I mess up on this one. I've always got a backup copy that I can use. So that's the beauty of digiscrapping. You don't have to worry about messing around with the original, because I always make a copy first before I pull it in. Okay, then I go in, I'm going to open up my next photo, and it's going to be this one right here. And I'm just going to let's just take a little piece of it too. So I'm going to go ahead and get my rectangle marquee tool, and I'm just going to take this piece right here. See the little marching ants? I take my move tool, drag it and drop it into my page, and I'm going to shrink it down. I take it by one of the corners there, shrink it down just a little bit, and check on the little green check mark, and then close out of my original. So far, it's pretty painless, right? And then we're going to go ahead and bring in my next photo. A lot of people think it's so hard to do, and really, if you find the right mentor or the right instructor and they show you step by step how to do it, then it becomes a lot easier. All right, my next one is this one here. I'm just going to go ahead and take a slice out of it. No, I'm going to bring in the whole one this time. So I pull it on over, I take my move tool, drag it, drop it. It's going to be way too big, so I'm going to take it by the corner, shrink it down. I'm going to make it about the same size width as the one at the top there, and kind of just eyeballing it for now. Going back to my original and closing out of that. So it's almost halfway done, and we've only done it for about 5-10 minutes or so. All right, my next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring in some embellishments. Now, some people say, oh, I don't want to do digiscrapping because it just doesn't look real. It doesn't look right. And, you know, I can kind of relate, because when I first started, I thought, oh, I love the feel of the paper and this, that, and the other. But there's so many more advantages, I think, to digiscrapping than disadvantages. So that's why I kind of stuck with it. So let's bring in a few embellishments just to kind of show you what you can do. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to go File and Open, and this was part of the kit. Actually, no, it's a different kit. It's Corrine Silk. It's called let's see what it was called. Here, let me open this up here. MMI ribbon. So I'm just going to take that ribbon, drag it and drop it into my page, bring it back, maybe put it up at the top here, and let's zoom in a little bit so you can see the detail on that. So I got that. And I can bring it in there twice if I want to, or I can copy and paste the one that's already there. Let's close this one out. I'm going to double click on the hand tool so that brings us back. And let's take that one, and I'm going to hold my Shift and Alt key down and drag and drop it. So I'm just holding my Shift and Alt key, and it gives me a copy of that. Simple as that. Okay, and that is on a separate layer. So if I turn these off, you can see that the layers over here to the right, that's where my ribbons are. So I'm going to go ahead and name these. So I'm just going to name this bottom ribbon, and I'll name this one top ribbon. Okay. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, I saw your question and I will answer it in a few minutes. I think it was, oh gosh, was it Betty? Wants to know what I'm talking about with the membership area. So I saw that fly by, and I'll show you that in a little bit, okay? I'll go into detail with that. Okay, yeah, I see some questions flying by and I can't answer them, otherwise I won't get through the class, but I will try. If you do have questions, you can email me at info@naods.com. I may even answer them throughout the next half an hour here too. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm bring in another embellishment, and I love this one. This is one of my favorite embellishments. It's by Maria LaFrance. It's called Harvest Halloween Flower. And I'm just going to drag and drop that into my page. And it went behind there. See how it's behind that? Well, I have to just drag and drop that layer on the top there. So I'm just taking it and dragging it to the top. And I'm going to put it in the upper right-hand corner. I'm just going to put it right about there. It's okay if it kind of pulls off of the page, because then it looks kind of cool. You can pull it in, or I'm going to have it kind of at the upper right-hand corner. It's perfect because there's cloud there anyway, and sky. Doesn't really matter. I'm not really hiding any of my photo. Let's show you something else that's really cool. Now you may look at that and say, that looks kind of flat, Michelle, but you also have what's called some effects. We are only going to touch on 1/100th of what Photoshop Elements does in this class. So just think, there's so much more involved with it. So hopefully in the next half an hour, you're going to say, this was enough to get me motivated to get my pictures out and do some fun stuff. I really love to motivate people to do that. Okay, so I'm going to do a drop shadow. Let's see here. What am I looking at here? We got strokes. We have drop shadows. There we go. We have a bunch of different ones that are defaults, but I like this low one a lot. So, oops, I'm on the background. I can't go to the background. I need to go to the right layer, don't I? That's the beauty of these webinars. Makes mistakes and everybody sees it. Okay, so I'm going to go to that top layer, and I'm going to just double click on that and call that flower. And then I'm going to put the drop shadow on it. Okay, so there. I don't know if you saw that, but let's undo it. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. See how flat it looks now? And I'm going to double click on this, and there it pops it. We can also do that with our ribbon. So if I select the ribbon here, double click on it, canvas size is smaller or equal to large size, be visible completely. Oh, that's okay. Now we see the little drop shadow, and now it makes it look like it's a little bit more 3D. I'm also going to do it to this bottom ribbon. Double click on it. It's going to give me that little signal there that says it's kind of off the page, but that's okay. Some of it's off the page. And there we have it. So that makes it pop just a little bit more, don't you think? Okay. Great. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about text. You always want to put text on there. You want to put like maybe a heading or a little what do you call it? Body content or journaling. That's what I was trying to think of. Journaling. So a lot of you guys are journalers. I'm not a huge journaler. I wish I was more so, but I do like maybe a little paragraph about the trip or whatever the pictures are about, because you think you're going to remember who was in it, who was in the picture, what year it was, but a lot of times like 10, 20, 30 years later you don't remember. So you want to put a headline and maybe a couple other things about what's in the picture, a little journal and body content. Okay, so let's go ahead and go down to the bottom left hand corner. And I'm going to go in and bring another embellishment in here. It's going to be called the Korean silk. It's like a little, oh, what do you call that? Bracket, I guess. And I'm just going to drag it and drop it into my page. And I think this will be perfect to be down here and have my little title in there. I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit. Now, I don't usually suggest enlarging things too big because sometimes it pixelates it. But in this case, this is such a crisp, clean, really nice graphic that it's going to be okay. Going to enlarge it and kind of pull it, and I'm going to have it look like it's going to kind of like weave in and out of this ribbon. Okay, but I want to fill that background with a color so that I can put some text in there. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this kind of thing. I'm going to pull this effects panel down a little bit. I can create a blank layer in between there and then fill it with a certain color. So I'm going to go ahead and get a box and fill that box with maybe a brown color. So I'm going to pull a brown color out of my paper. I'm going to go get what's called my paint bucket tool, and I'm going to fill it with that. Okay, again, if you didn't catch that, you can always rewatch this inside the membership area. We do have a 3-day trial version. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead and cut a little piece of this off just so it looks like that the ribbon is going inside there. So I'm going to go to that layer, select part of it, and then cut a little piece off. Now I could probably do this a lot more clean and a lot more accurate, but I'm just going to go and kind of show you what it's going to look like. And I cut a little bit too much off. Let's go undo that a couple. And that's the beauty of this. We can always undo. But I think what I need to do is maybe make it a little bit wider. So let's take this and make it a little bit wider just so that that can go inside there. And now it's probably going to work just perfectly. So now I can go in there and I can even take my eraser tool. Let's just take the eraser tool just so you can kind of see what that looks like and erase part of it. And magically, it kind of looks like it's going underneath that. Okay, doesn't that look cool? Let me double click on it to pull it back out. And we can always delete that one, and delete this. Well, we're not deleting them, we're just closing them out. We always have the opportunity to go back in there and to get that again. Okay, so let's go back down to this bottom right hand corner and let's put the title in there. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to pull in a white text color and get my text, and let's just put Grandma Grandma and Grandpa visit Colorado. And let's just put, let's say October 15th, 2012. Okay, just kind of making up some bogus dates there. And let's go ahead and make it larger. And there's our little headline. Then we can go ahead and take our text tool and we can make a text box right on top of this. This is where we can put our journaling. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of fill it in with Greeking here. And that's where you can put a little story about what happened that day, or what those photos are about, or what ages the people that are displayed in the photos are. And this is cool because then you can change the, if you want to change the font, you can go ahead and change the font. We've got all different kinds of really cool fonts to use, and I do show you in some of the inside the membership area how to download fonts, install fonts, and things like that. So don't be afraid of that. We also can left justify or right justify. I think left justifying looks pretty good there. We also can enlarge it after we're done if we want to, or change the leading or tracking and all that kind of stuff. But basically, about 15-20 minutes, we created a really nice looking layout. One thing I like to do though is I like to put borders on my photos, and there's all kinds of different borders that you can do. But I'm going to go ahead and put just a regular white border on there. So I'm going to go back into my effects panel and then go to let's see here, strokes. Now it's really odd because they don't have a regular white stroke, which is kind of weird because that's what I use a lot. But once you pick one, let's just say you pick the black stroke 10 points, you can go back in there and change it. So I don't like the black stroke there, so I just have to go back to my layers panel and see in the bottom right hand corner where it says FX. You double click on that and then it gives you the opportunity, see where it says style settings? You can change that to whatever color you want it to be. It's white right now, that looks pretty good. You can change the size of the stroke if you want it to be huge or if you want it to be smaller. So I'm going to say, let's say 10 looks pretty good, maybe even 7. I like 7. I like thin strokes. So I click on OK. Now those of you who are more intermediate level users know this probably little trick. If I wanted to use the same stroke, exact same stroke on these other 2 photos, all I do is go to that layer, and I right click and I choose copy layer style, and I go to my next photo that I want to copy that layer style to, which they're up here, and I right click on it and choose paste layer style. I go to the next one, right click on it, choose paste layer style. So now I've got all my photos with the exact same size and same color. It's always good to be consistent because if you have like, oh, I don't know, different colored borders and all that kind of stuff, it kind of looks cheesy. So you want to be as nice and neat as you can. I'm going to move my text down just a little bit, and then we're finished with this layout. Okay, so not too much involved with it, not too many layers, not too extravagant. I don't really like to put too much. I'm kind of more of a simple girl, so I like to keep my stuff simple. I don't like too much going on. This is actually almost on the verge of too much going on for me, but everybody has their own, own style. And I'm just going to go ahead and file save, and I really should have been saving this as I was doing it, but I kind of forgot. So don't always, I don't practice what I preach, I guess, sometimes. But try to save it like every 10 minutes, especially when you're first starting out. Let's go pumpkin patch. Okay, and I'm just going to go 2012. Whoops, I'm just going to go 12. And then save. Now notice that it is a PSD, which stands for Photoshop document, and I go into great detail in the introduction classes. I've got a whole bunch of videos that you can watch if you do become a member, or if you wanted to, purchase like separate little classes, I have that as well. Um, but basically, I go through step by step how to even open Photoshop Elements, how to move photos, how to zoom in, zoom out, all that kind of stuff. This is more of an intermediate kind of level, but if you were to get serious with this and you really wanted to start from scratch, I have all of those kind of classes as well. So once we save it, we figure out what are we going to do with this. Are we going to print it? Or we're going to, print it to Shutterfly. We're going to take it to Costco, print it. What size do we want it to be? This is a 12 by 12. Do we want it to be 8 by 8? You can always go into image and resize and image size. And right now it's a 12 by 12, but let's say, hey, I think I want to make an 8 by 8 book through Shutterfly. All I have to do is go 8 by 8. I'm going to constrain proportions, scale styles. I'm going to have all those checked. Click on OK. Wait a few minutes. Huh, did it not go? Didn't look like it went. Resize, image size. 8 by 8. Okay. There it goes. I don't know what happened. Okay, so now it's an 8 by 8. So you could save it as a 12 by 12 and an 8 by 8 if you wanted to do two different size books. Like sometimes I'll do one for the grandparents and one for myself to keep at home. So that's the beauty about this great thing called digiScrapping. And you can make as many copies as you want to, and it's fairly inexpensive. Like there's usually a 12 by 12 is $3 or less. They're coming down in price, so I get mine printed at Costco a lot. I don't print mine at home. Now some of you lucky people out there, like Jody, she has a 12 by 12 printer, so basically that would work too if you have your own printer. So that is wonderful. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a PSD. So I'm going to go File, Save As. This will allow you to pick PSD from your list of drop-downs. PSD, where are you? No, I'm sorry, JPEG. Okay. I'm going to save it as JPEG. I'm going to take off that word copy, and it's going to be it's going to flatten it all up, and it's all going to be a lot smaller file size. So again, I go through the differences between JPEGs, GIFs, PSDs, PDFs, and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first part of the class. I'm going to go ahead and now get more involved in some image editing instead of digiscrapping, and this is kind of fun. Before I get started, let me just go ahead and show, because I can't remember who it was, I think it was Betty. She wanted to know, what am I talking about when I talk about membership? So let me just show you the inside of a membership area. So if you do become a member of NAIODS, you will get a username and password. And you should be able to change the password because they give you a crazy password, but now it will allow you to go in there and change it. I think you just have to go to your account or something like that to change it. So once you get that, you go into naods.com, you click on Login, and then you will get to this page and you'll log in. Now we have tons and tons, many hours of training. It's the coolest thing in the world, I think. And we have like out of bounds, we have poster design, trading card design, filters, collages, how to organize your photos. I get so many people how to organize photos. Business card design, if you're a graphic designer, learn how to do that. Photo restoration. Let's just say you're a very beginner. You just click on this one here. It says Introduction. And wait a few seconds because it will bring up this thing. They're pretty big files. It usually takes a few seconds to load up. It takes 10%, and it'll start going.
Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Stelling with the
You
National
can alter the volume right here, and this is where it is step by step. It just shows you, the interface of Photoshop Elements 10, how to close and open photos, and how to feather, all different kinds of things. So take a look at that, or if you are interested in learning more about this, I'll give you some good deals at the end of the class here. But that's what that looks like. So I just wanted to let you know, Betty, I think it was. And then you've got all access to all of this 24/7. There's hundreds of hours of faces and eyes, how to get really good portraits and things like that. I also talk about and here, this is let's see if it's in here. This one right here, this is the one that we're working on now, so you can watch that again as well. The one that a lot of people like is the Photo Composition 101, how to take really good pictures and such. So, all right, let's close out of there and let's continue on. All right, I'm on good time. I've got about 15 minutes left, so that's good. Okay, so one thing that a lot of people want to know is how do you do those photo pop-outs and how do you do the panoramic? So let me just show you quickly. The cool thing about this is that we've got a thing called, let me pull this down so you can see it, the guided section, and I have a whole hour of training on how to use the guided section. And it is over to the right. And you see how we're working in the full mode right now? Let's go ahead and work on the guided mode. So click on guided. And then it's really cool. I'm going to close up some of these because there's so many different things you can do in here, but I'm just going to focus on a couple different areas. We're going to focus on the area called photo play. See over here to the right? And I'm going to click on out of bounds. And if you roll over, this is what it's going to kind of show you. So I'm going to go step by step. It tells you everything right here. Click on add a frame. So I'm going to add a frame. I'm going to have it so his feet stick out of the frame so it looks like they're popping out, and his head is going to pop out at the top as well. Then I'm going to click on the check mark. Next, I'm going to pull this out a little bit so excuse me, that I have a frame here. Forgot to get my water. Okay, let's get that down here. And then I click on the check mark. Then I'm going to just go ahead and look here, over here to the right. You just scroll down. It says use the quick selection tool to select the parts that you want your image to extend out of your frame. So you just click on that. You come in here. I'm going to select his head part just at the top. It doesn't have to be all selected. Then I'm going to select this area right in here. Okay. And a little bit more of his boot right there. Oh, he was so cute. This was taken a few years ago. It makes me sad to see that he's all grown up. This is my son, JC. And then we're going to click Create Out of Bounds. And it's a little choppy, but you know, after you get to know Photoshop, you can get in there and get a really good selection. Click on the medium drop shadow just so it kind of pops even a little bit more. You can add a gradient. I don't normally add a gradient, but I'm just going to show you some of the kind of the psychedelic fun stuff you can do with this. Let's just go with something crazy. Maybe this one. Then click on OK. And then you just click on Done. So it only took less than 3 or 4 minutes to do a photo pop out. Now if you have been with me forever and you started in 2007 and you're still with me, which I hope you are, I know there's a lot of members that are still have been members since 2007. This used to be a lot harder in the versions earlier, right? Some of you are saying, oh yes, this was a little tough. So it usually took us 10 minutes to do something like this in version like 6. And now we are doing it within a few seconds. So it's come a long way, and it's going to go a long way as well. So then you're pretty much finished. Okay, now let's do another cool thing. I am going to, oh goodness, let's close out of this one. Go File and Close. And let's say for instance you're like me and I go up in the mountains or I go to cool places and I can't fit everything into my photo. Now there is a thing called the panoramic view. Let's go back to full mode. Let me just open up something here to show you a visual because I love to show you visuals first. So we went to the Garden of the Gods and see these 4 pictures right here? What I did was I stood there and I took a picture, I clicked, then I moved like an inch over, my camera inch over, and I actually physically moved an inch over too because for some reason it works better that way. And then I clicked again, and then I still kept it horizontally, you know, and then clicked it again, and then clicked it again. So I clicked it 4 times, but I moved myself a little bit each time so that I can take this panoramic view. This is what it's going to look like right here. So I did a big old poster, a panoramic poster out of this, and put Garden of the Gods, Colorado Springs. Now, how do I get those to line up so well? Well, this is the coolest part. You go to File, New, Photo Merge Panorama, and then I go find those 4 photos. So I have to click on Browse. I'm going to click on and select all of these pictures. Click on OK. They're all here. I'm going to blend images together. I'm not going to do a vignette removal. I'm not too worried about that. And I'm not going to do this geometric distortion correction. I'm just going to click on OK and cross my fingers, hope that it works out okay. 9 times out of 10, it works perfectly. Photoshop Elements is awesome for this. So it takes a few minutes for it to go ahead and line them all up, because what it's doing is it's essentially it's stitching them together. Now sometimes you might get this thing that says not responding, which I'm getting right now, but wait a few seconds because usually it will respond to you. This says, would you like to automatically fill in the edges? I don't want to for now, so I'm just going to go ahead and say no, and then I'm going to crop it down. So right now, see how it didn't do that? And that's okay, because I want this to be a panoramic. So I'm going to take my crop tool and I'm just going to crop it. I'm going to crop it to right about here, I think. Let's pull this in and then click on the check mark. And now I can kind of zoom in a little bit. And this is so cool. I mean, I'm just so, I know people are saying, this is cool, this is cool. I love it. If you click on this, see how it's just stitching itself together? Right here, right here. Those are 4 different photos stitching itself together. And you can also merge them together. So if I click on this little thing over here to the right and click merge layers, that'll merge them all together. And we can go into the enhance area, and let's just say we want to adjust the levels. Now I didn't get into this too much, but we get into it a lot in the videos. I can really make those mountains pop, the Garden of the Gods pop, by just taking it deeper or less, you know. It was kind of hazy that day, so I want it to kind of pop a little more. So I'm just taking my levels, and here was the before, really kind of hazy. Here's the after. Click on OK, and there you have it. So any of the photos that you've taken, even if they don't look that great, you can pull them into Photoshop Elements and really make them pop. So that is one of the cool features that Photoshop Elements has. I'm hoping that you really got a lot out of this. I want to show you one more quick thing, but those of you who have to leave a little bit early, I do want to show you the best part of the night is our secret page. Okay, so I should be putting up a button here to the right hand side, and you can click on that to get to this secret page. But if you are going to purchase anything from NAODS and you've been to one of my webinars, you guys get a little bit better discount than those of you who just go to my site from Google or whatever. So be sure to check this secret page out first before you go purchase it from the site, because you will get a little bit better discount. We have a 24-hour special going on for those of you who attended this class, and you just go to www.naods.com. I think that's considered a / I always forget / secret. There's no S at the end. It's SECRET .html. You have to put the .html on there. See that right there? And you'll see that you get a free DVD with any purchase that you make in the next 24 hours. It's a $40 value, $39 value. There's a couple different membership things. So you can go month to month. If you're not really sure, you can go month to month. So the first month tonight or today is $5. And then the next month would be $29. So you can go month to month, and you would still get the free DVD. So the first month would be $5. You just click there to go. And then there's another deal, which is the yearly membership. This is our most popular because it's the biggest saving. It's normally $239, but we are going to go ahead with the $199. That's $16.50 per month, but it is a $199 charge, and that will get you an annual membership. Plus, you get that top 10 DVD as well, absolutely free, just by purchasing that. If you wanted to just get the DVDs, we are having a clearance sale, and these probably will be gone pretty soon. So if you are interested in them, you might want to get those now. The 3-pack bundle, the version 10 is the introduction, intermediate, and advanced, and it's just $60. The version 9 is sold out. The version 8, we have a couple more left. I think there's only like 10 more left, and that is $30. So if you still have version 8, you might want to go ahead and snag one of those. I also encourage you to join us on Facebook because we give away free things on Facebook, and I show you and I tell you when our upcoming webinars are, our free webinars are, and our members only classes, because we do have members only classes that only members can attend. We usually have a couple of those a month, so you will be able to come to those members only classes as long as you're a member. So again, if you have any questions, I see that there's a couple questions in there about the yearly. It is a one-time, or not one-time, it is a $199 charge on your credit card because we don't do the $16.50 per month. That would be a monthly deal if you wanted to go monthly, okay? So but it is the best deal, that's for sure. Somebody's saying, what if we sign up for monthly and we want to go back, if we want to go to yearly after that? That is perfectly fine too. You know, say you're a member for 3 months and you say, oh, I really love this, I wanted to switch it over to a yearly. You just go ahead and email me at info@naaods.com and I will help you switch it over to an annual. Okay, so that takes care of that question. I don't see, yeah, you'll automatically get that DVD with any purchase that you do in the next 24 hours. So that's I wanted to answer that question. Okay, let me go on. Do you guys want me to go with some more stuff? I'll go with about a few more minutes because I know I'll be kicked out 45 minutes, but let me just go show you one little quick thing that I think is kind of fun. Oh, this one here is fun too. Say for instance you have, like my son did a really big art piece and it was bigger than my scanner would allow, so I scanned it in 4 different pieces, and see here, right here, you can't really tell what it is, but let's do this. I'm going to go back to Photoshop Elements, I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to go to Photo Merge Panorama, and I'm going to take those 4 pieces right here, click on OK, and it's going to go ahead and merge those together. This is like a 12 by 18, and I couldn't fit it on my scanner, so I had to go ahead and do it this way. It's going to go ahead and line it up, and I'm sure it's going to say that it's not responding, but I'm going to hold tight because it usually does carry through on its promise, but sometimes it does take a little bit of time to interlace those 3 together. So there's my little non-responding thing, and it's going to kind of flash my screen here, and I'm just going to go ahead with no here, and there it is. So it looks gorgeous. I love this. This is one of my favorites. It's called the Lost Boot, and my son JC did it when he was 7 years old. And I just absolutely, I got this framed. I had it printed off and got it framed. Actually, I had it cards made out of it. I made little cards out of it. And there is a segment on how to make your own cards in that membership area. And then they see over here how it's all stitched together. It's the coolest darn thing, I tell you. I know some people are saying, oh, this is so cool, Michelle. Okay, so that's another one that you can do. You don't have to do panoramic. It doesn't have to be all in a horizontal line. It can be 4 like that. Another thing I wanted to show you real quick though before you take off is we have online classes. If you go to naaods.com and click on online classes, if you only want to do like the introduction, we have a save 5 towards any class for the next 24 hours as well, so use that coupon code towards that. And we have all these different classes here, just individual classes. Now these can all be found inside the membership area, so if you're a member you don't have to pay for these classes. They're all free inside the membership area, but if you wanted to take them individually you can do that as well. Be sure to check out our free webinars. We have DVDs here, but again, if you go to that secret page, it's cheaper. And then also I want you to check out my testimonials because I'm very proud. This is the place I'm most proud of. In fact, I went to a seminar just recently and I saw some of my mentors. I saw Susie Orman, Michael J. Fox, Steve Forbes. I saw Captain Mark Kelly speak, and Bill Cosby and Tom Hopkins, and Susie Orman's one of my favorite. But I always think it's really good to find a mentor that you really admire and helps you out, and I would love to be your image editing mentor. So check out my stuff. If you have any questions, please ask. Again, my name is Michelle Stelling. And just go to naods.com. There's a contact area there as well. But I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You can check out all my testimonials. One of my favorites is this one right here, who was a teacher. She just a retired teacher. She says, I joined after my first webinar. This is such an exciting way to learn. As a retired teacher, I can tell you you're an excellent teacher. Teresa, and I think she's still a member to this date. She signed up with me a couple years ago, and love seeing her stuff. I have people send me stuff all the time, so if you do have stuff that you've created, I'd love to see it. But check that out, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for joining me, and let me just throw up the seminar or secrets page and leave you at that. Have a great time, everyone, and happy photo editing. Bye-bye.